Wrasslin, Chetty Bobby. Welcome to Wrasslin with Big E and the POT. Podcast tag champs of the whole world, slamming like a DDT. Got it like just like a figure four. Hulk Hogan, all they do is flex. Talking wrestling while they get the dough. Off the top like a superplex. Think they letting up? Hell no. Dusty Rose with the elbow. From the corner like a stinger splash. Straight to the face, I know you felt those. Hey, y'all crying out for help though. Rising up like the dead man. About to go upside your head like Stone Cold with the bedpan. Bottom line, if you want the facts, welcome to Wrestling's where you need to be. Chetty Bobby, this show improve like John Cena, you ain't seeing me. Bottom line, if you want the facts, welcome to Wrestling's where you need to be. Chetty Bobby, this show improve like John Cena, you ain't seeing me. Yeah.
Hey, welcome to Wrasslin. I'm the POT alongside my tag team partner, Big E, aka Them Wrestling Boys. And we're here to bring you another episode of premium wrestling content. What's going on, bro?
Hey, what do you know, brother? Hey, man, first and foremost, before we really get into it and talk about what we're going to do today, seems like we just did this 2 episodes ago, but and lost Sabu today, ECW legend, hardcore legend, the homicidal, genocidal, suicidal. I don't know if that's the way it went, but yeah, man, R.I.P. Sabu, man. You got any favorite Sabu stories? Any favorite matches? Anything that comes to mind?
Well, when I think of Sabu, you definitely think of hardcore legend. The dude was just different. He was, no matter what promotion he worked in. Of course, most people probably really know him from his ECW run, but he had a cup of coffee in WCW in the later years and TNA, and even
a few things
WWE.
Yeah,
even WWE. So had a title match with Cena.
Right.
The guy was just reckless, dangerous, but that was a part of his gimmick, and very entertaining to watch because you didn't know what to expect. And he's a high flyer, and like I said, hardcore legend. Rest in peace, Sabu.
Yeah.
Notable feuds with countless Taz, RVD, which was his tag team partner.
But also feuded with each other. I love them together. Of course, they came up together. They trained together. Both from Michigan. It would just be funny because Sabu was from Bombay, Michigan.
Right.
But he is the nephew of the original Sheik, and they up there comparing notes now together. But yeah, man, when I think of Sabu, the first thing comes to mind is the Terry Funk barbed wire match in ECW.
Right.
And I'll never forget the first time watching that, and he tore his bicep up under his bicep. And I remember Fonzie running to the back to the locker room, coming back out with tape, and he just taped it up, man, and just kept going. That, it just shows you how dedicated he was to the business and for the fans. And because, man, let me tell you something. If I'm at work and I get cut like that, I'm not going to take it or go back to work.
Right.
Right. I'm finna go to the hospital.
Dude, when I did pest control, I got stung by a wasp, and I went home that day. I called my boss and said, "Hey, I'm done today.
Yeah,
I got stung. I'm not climbing no more ladders and knocking down no more wasp nests and with the spray and nah. So and like you said, I know you can't compare that to wrestling, but to your point though, the dude went and taped his whole arm up and finished the match.
And then they had to cut them out of that barbed wire. They were so entangled in it at the end.
That's crazy, man.
I think about him and RVD being tag team champs together and them always, pushing each other because, Rob Van Dam had the spotlight, and Sabu was just, never talked and was just real quiet and, just pointing to the sky, and but yeah, man, and he just had his retirement match WrestleMania weekend. So
Joey Janela.
Yeah, man. So prayers out to his family, his friends, everybody close to him, and R.I.P. Sabu, man. Hey. But it is welcome to wrestling. It is welcome to wrestling. We're gonna talk Backlash. We're gonna talk a little bit about the press conference. So last night was back, and happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there. Happy Mother's Day to you. You went to a watch party again last night. How'd that go?
My man, first of all, shout out to ATL Wrestling Fan. Again, cool brother. Really had a good chance of. Last night was weird, dog. Go keep it real. Went to the watch party, and WrestleMania watch party. That was held outdoors at the same venue, but it was held outdoors because the weather was nice. Of course, it rained last night,
right?
And so he hosted the party inside of the warehouse.
Oh, okay.
And man, we couldn't get the Wi-Fi working. So
oh wow,
it was buffering real bad, and then when they got it to where it wasn't buffering as bad, and the audio wasn't working, and it was frustrating when it came to that. And a few people that was there, they stuck around and they ended up leaving. And then my man with the John Cena wristbands, he was there. He ended up his name Teddy though. Teddy, shout out to Teddy. Teddy ended up leaving. So then it was just me and my man, ATL Wrestling Fan.
Okay.
Brother named Eric though. Eric's his name. So me and Eric chopped it up. Actually, it's a negative turn to a positive. Eric and I chopped it up, and he kind of told me about his vision, what he really trying to accomplish, what he's trying to do, trying to grow the rest of the community in Atlanta, and that's why he's trying to host events. And he told me a few ideas that I'm not gonna put out there right now, but he talked about a few ideas that he had, and
okay.
So me and Eric, we're gonna keep in touch, and hopefully one day we'll be doing some good business together. So shout out again to ATL Wrestling Fan. Again, wasn't able to watch the event last night at the watch party, which was a bummer. But again, the negative turned to a positive. I was able to network, especially with ATL Wrestling Fan a little more. And I kind of understand where he's coming from and his vision. And I'm looking forward to doing business with my man going forward. So shout out to ATL Wrestling Fan again.
Well, that's cool. Yeah. I had I watched the last half of it, and then caught up on the rest of the half watched the first half once it was available for replay last night. So yeah, it was Mother's Day weekend,
right?
Baseball was canceled, but we're getting ready for baseball and stuff. So yeah, man. Shout out to my 11 and 12-year-old team, man. Major Black, man, from over there at Brookwood. Took a little loss and knocked us out of the tournament, man. Had a good team this year, and man, I don't know, man. It was something different about this team. I've been coaching this is my 8th season over there, including the fall season and stuff like that. So, but I mean, it was a different team this year, man. Shout out to them little guys, man. Fought their little hearts out. But my 12 or 13-year-old team, we still in it. So we got a real good chance of going all the way. So once this rain clears out, we can get back to it. So, well, yeah, man, had to shout them little guys out, man.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah, man. So Backlash was last night, and started off with Jacob Fatu LA Knight, Damian Priest, and Drew McIntyre. The entrances. Everybody got to do their entrance. Entrances was cool. With the national anthem and the entrances, the match didn't get started till about 15 minutes in to the PLV. So I tell you what I really liked was with Drew McIntyre had some new stuff on with the black with the green on.
Right.
We had like the you remember Shredder? He had those things like Shredder had from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and they were kind of green looking. So I thought that was cool.
Right.
I love Jacob Fatu's interest just because of the how the flames fire up to the beat of the music. You know, I think that's pretty cool. Damian Priest is, you know, it's all right. And LA Knight, of course, you know, catchphrase king. You know, so but entrances were good.
Well, you know, first of all, before you move on from that, I know you're not an LA Knight guy, but I just hear the hate in you so bad. It's like he clearly has the biggest pop every night.
Yeah,
his music hit.
Yeah.
But we'll get back to that later. Yeah, I'm done with the entrances, but
so did Cody. Anyway,
yeah.
But you know, they all four squared off, you know, got in there. And you know, Damian Priest and McIntyre went at it. Drew and Fatu went, LA Knight and Fatu went at it. I'll tell you, that's my guy. Jacob Fatu is my guy, man. I thought the match was good. Fatu pretty much took a beating for like the first 10 minutes. And then he just went on a rampage. I liked how they all hit their finishers, you know, simultaneously, right behind each other, rather. And I thought the match was very entertaining. Very entertaining. I thought, you know, the high impact stuff that they all can do. Damian Priest hit that Frankensteiner off the top rope. You know, that was kind of big. And when he did it, Jacob Fatu turned it into a swanton bomb.
Right.
Oh, so that was cool. I like how he did it again while Drew was was upside down on the turnbuckle.
Yeah,
that was cool.
You know, that move right there, you made Vaishon say something. We watched it today, and he said that he was like, damn, that was pretty cool right there. Yeah, he did.
Right. And for those of you who don't know, that's PO's brother. That's the POT's brother who is a closet wrestling fan.
That's what he turned into.
Right. Right. So, but towards the end of the match, when Solo came out, you know, had a couple of false finishes, and Damian Priest broke one up, and then Solo came out, and then you just see LA Knight get his head tore off by a clothesline. And if not LA Knight, who did he clothesline outside? Jeff Cobb. Jeff Cobb made his debut last night. And man, that thing when he did that body press into the into the ring post.
Yeah,
that was crazy. They could have gave him a longer t-shirt.
Yeah, they made him look like some fat kid that
right.
that like he you know wanted another fudge round or something. I don't know.
Right.
Yeah,
but if you think about it, you know, Solo said he didn't have no more soldiers. He needed new soldiers.
Right.
You know, and so Jeff Cobb is in the mix in WWE. And man, you know, we talk about it over and over again, But ever since Triple H is involved, man, or in charge, it's a lot of people getting a shot that wouldn't have got a shot in WWE.
Hey, one thing that I do like about that is the difference between when it was Vince running the show and then when it's Triple H and Nick Khan running the show is that Vince wasn't necessarily afraid to use wrestlers that work for a different company. But what Vince would do is he would take those wrestlers and he would strip them down and he would change their gimmick to what he wants them to be.
Right.
So these people already got over with other companies being Penta or being Jeff Cobb or Ray Phoenix or whoever, right? They was being their persona outside of WWE. What Triple H is doing is he's not doing what Vince is doing. He's bringing those people in and he's letting them be
who they are. Yeah,
who they are. You got
Jeff
over their way.
Not calling him some kind of crazy
Bobby
name.
James or some
Right.
shit. You know what I mean?
And then burying him.
Yeah.
Bring them out for a minute, let them get so and so, and then bury them, and then release them, and all that stuff. So, a lot of guys getting a different chance that wouldn't have got a chance if Vince was still there. And everybody knows, if you pay attention, Vince doesn't watch anything else, so he doesn't know who these people are.
Right.
He didn't know who AJ Styles was.
Right.
It's hard to believe, but he didn't.
Of course, he has people that out there. Vince wasn't watching the product. He had people that was watching the product. They were coming back to him saying, "Hey, talent relations, wherever JR or Michael Hayes or whoever else, Bruce Prichard or however that hierarchy was over those years. But for talent relations, they knew who these people was. They had scouts and stuff. But like to your point, Vince wasn't one watching the product. And then they'll try out or something, and he'll just be like, "Oh, well, yeah, just another big guy. I don't know about him, pal. Or I got an idea. Let's just put a mask on him and call him Great Dumbo. Like this dude was a world champion at his, Right. Okay.
Right. But Jacob Fatu retains the title, which I kind of figured we didn't get to do a prediction show this week. By the way, this is episode 20. Just to throw that out there, and we are at 101 subscribers.
Milestone, baby.
Right.
Episode 20, over 100 subscribers.
Yeah, 101.
So we love you to the 101 subscribers out there who did hit that button.
Yeah.
Y'all have no idea how much we really appreciate that.
Right. So, and keep it coming. Keep it coming. Keep it coming. Because we're going to keep it coming. But now,
before you move on from that match, though, you pretty much described the match, and it was a lot of action. I do believe that this was the best match on the card as far as the action. It started the show, but I believe that it made sense. Yeah, they made it 4-way. So basically with 2 WrestleMania matches put into one.
Mm-hmm.
And but even when the near fall, when Drew looked like he was about to win, and the court priest pulled out the referee, and it's like, oh, he screwed me again, McIntyre with this whole I've been screwed and that whole little gimmick. So and they fought in the crowd and did the spot with the South of Heaven on the tables out there.
That was awesome. Yeah.
So they kind of obviously they're gonna continue their feud. Look like they're not done anytime soon.
Yeah.
And a couple months ago I would have been pissed off, like I'm so tired of them fighting. But actually, I ain't gonna lie, man. From what I saw at the Sin City Street fight and the work they did last night, man, I don't mind watching them go at it another time or two, man, because I think they've been putting in work, man. So shout out to Drew McIntyre and Damian Priest And shout
And
out all
none
four
of
of
the
them
matches
guys.
have let you down. None of the matches they've had let you
None of the
down.
matches let us down.
And I think, like you say, they're bringing the best out of each other. You know, so let them keep dancing for a little while, man. If the crowd
good
loves
chemistry, good
yeah.
chemistry.
So let them keep dancing for a little while. Like I said, I'm not mad at that either.
Yeah.
You know, and what I hate, I want to say this about, you said it was the first, you know, how you just emphasized it was the first card on the match. If you ever heard these guys talk, that if you can't go on last, then let me go on first. So first is not a bad spot.
No,
you got Cena and Orton, so you're not going on last. You're not going on last. So let us go out there and set the tone, you know, and make everybody follow what we do. You know what I mean? So I hate when people talk about they don't. It's not a main event if it's the first one. If you're starting off, if you're not main event in WrestleMania, if you're not the last match, let me say that, because, but contrary, you want to believe it or not, it's been WrestleMania matches that were the main event that weren't on last.
right.
You understand what I'm saying?
So,
but all the boys, if they can't go on last, they want to go on first. You know, so it's not a diss to them to go on first. It wasn't a. Could you imagine if Jey Uso would have lost the match at the beginning? How the vibe would have been the whole rest of the night? Do you think about that?
Yeah, especially knowing how the night played out.
Oh yeah.
At the end, you know, yeah, that would have.
But I mean, they really set the tone and set the crowd up for the rest of the night.
Right.
You know, so
right.
Bottom line is, all you YouTubers talking shit about them going on first or third, these motherfuckers know what they doing, man. They know what they doing. Y'all need to relax.
It kind of made me think about. It kind of made me think about you talking about going on first, and you know, you think about, okay, over the years, you really think about these matches. I think about WrestleMania 35 and that was the first WrestleMania with the women, and they still had one night, and that was the last WrestleMania they had one night. Because remember, the next year was 36. That was the COVID one, and then 37 they started doing the 2 nights and all that. But WrestleMania 35 was like one of the longest, most boring WrestleManias ever, because it felt like they had like 15 matches.
Yeah,
and it was just long. But that main event was a triple threat with Ronda Rousey, Charlotte, and the man, Becky Lynch. Because remember, she became Becky 2 belts.
Right.
But that was the main event. So Brock Lesnar and Seth, which Seth won the Royal Rumble that year. So of course he got the title shot with the match. And the other the WWE Championship match was Kofi Mania, and that wasn't the main event, you know. So the main match as far as the males was Seth Rollins, Brock Lesnar.
Right.
But they started the show.
Right.
They started the show that night. And that was kind of like, and I'm not saying that's the first time the opening night was a good match or whatever, but that was one of the first times where like a high profile match was like, oh, they starting the WrestleMania.
Right.
You know, so yeah. So I'm all for that though. So, you know.
All right. So, like I say, Jeff Cobb interferes. 5-2 hits his finishes, you know, gets the moonsault and gets the win, retains. Kind of figured, like I said, we didn't get to make prediction. Figured he would retain.
Right.
He's too over right now. He's in between being a heel and a face.
Right.
But the crowd loves him. You know, they're doing the 5-2 thing.
All gas, no brakes.
Right. You know what I mean? But that's that West Coast.
Right.
But he's from the Bay, you know, he's from the Bay area, so
he gonna fuck around and go hyphy on y'all.
Right.
Yeah.
Ghost ride the wheel.
Right.
Yeah. But
right.
You know, I watched him at the press conference. We'll stay on 5-2 for a minute. And he had the serious look on his face, but he still, they asked him about, his opportunity there and when does he think about it. He's like, every morning when I wake up, I'm grateful.
Right.
Every morning when wake up, I'm grateful. And when I was watching I don't know if you watched Stephanie's Places, when they had the whole bloodline on they had the Tongans, they had Jacob and the Usos, Roman, Sammy, Wise Man, and Solo, and they were just all talking about the Samoan history and stuff. And that's one thing, every time they got to talk about family, you can see Jacob getting excited talking about his grandmother. They had the big Samoan feast there, and they was all saying it smells like their grandmother's kitchen. And a lot of them hadn't had some of that food in a long time. And they were kind of getting a little emotional because they smelt it.
Right.
It smells like Nana's kitchen. So just stuff like, man, shout out to Stephanie Plays. Y'all need to check that. There's been some good episodes.
Right.
And I think it's something different for her. We'll get off topic for a minute, different for her because she's not dealing with the day-to-day stuff at WWE and she needs to go talk and talk about history and stuff like that. I mean, I think it's cool that she's getting to do that. So, and it's something else that we get to watch that opens our eyes and lets us in just a little bit more every time. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So, all right, match 2. You got the man Becky Lynch versus Lyra. Lyra. We from the South. We say Lyra.
Well, that's how they be. I mean, of course, that's one of those roof or roof, but that's how they be pronouncing it. I be hearing Michael Cole and call it Lyra as well. So
yeah. So I thought this was a great match as well. Lyra, she retained.
Yeah, I thought it was a good one.
Yeah, of course, Becky put it, that their feud's not near over.
Oh, heck, no, right.
And I think it's good for Becky to, keep getting her feet wet. And, because every wrestler tell you, the worst thing for a wrestler is time off.
Right.
Being out of that ring and stuff. That's when people, when they're coming back and, they're always nervous about, the people going to remember, they still going to like you this. And then you got to knock that ring rust off,
Right.
And shout out to her for, having a child, and being a mom, but, coming back to work, and really going after it for a little bit longer. That's, and it's different like it wasn't back in the day. They all got those buses now.
Right.
They all got the buses and they got the drivers, and you can bring your family along with you. Like if your kids ain't at school and, you know what I'm saying? And of course, it's y'all two, you both full-time wrestlers, you both on top. And they probably got a nanny or something that helps out. You know what I'm saying? Something like that. So, as far as family goes, the wrestling business is better for family. I mean, the actual wrestler's family instead of being away for so long.
Right.
Absolutely. You know what I mean? So I'm sure that, I'm sure a lot of them old guys are looking at that like, damn.
Right.
Because it's easy to take care of your body too.
Right.
You ain't Kevin Nash riding around in an Astro van trying to drive and he's 7'2" or 6'11" or
got his knees wrapped with ice. And,
yeah. And they could be on the van.
Right.
You know what I mean? But no, that was a real good match. That hanging submission that she has, that Lyra does that hanging submission move.
Right.
Like, yeah, they need to come up with a name for that because that's a cool little move. I thought anyway.
One thing, and I agree with you as far as I thought it was a very good match as well. And then you can see that Becky working that ring rust off, working out the kinks. But I really like her heel work.
Yeah.
Even with the finish of the match, I like the finish because it didn't make Becky look weak, and it was just like, oh, she got the cradle on me. So of course Becky heel, sore loser role, And as soon as she got pinned, she was like, "What?" And she went on the attack and put the disarmor on her, and then they had to like come get her. And I really loved it. I loved it. You know, it was like, you know, that's some great heel work. She did some great heel work. You know, being a sore loser and attacking Lyra after the match, and you know that whole when she put the disarmor on, it like but she really about to rip your shoulder out of socket. You know,
Right.
like
Yeah,
I
yeah.
was like you know, like and of course Lyra broke her nose. You could tell too because she just kept, you know, even when she pinned her, she was like she had one arm just like holding her nose, you know, and I'm sure that's fun, you know, dealing with the whole broken nose, you know, which that's a part of the business.
Yeah.
But you know, so don't be surprised if on Monday she has like some type of
Yeah, the mask
Rip,
or something.
Rip Hamilton match or that
Yeah.
thing that Trish Stratus
Chris Stratus had
wore.
on.
Yeah.
Of course, that's back in the day when she had that on, but she was wearing a towel too, and nothing but a
Yeah.
towel.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but yeah, that feud is not over either.
Right.
So, IC title, Dominic and Penta. I agree with you that the first match was the best match, but this match was my favorite match. And I'm going to tell you why. You know, Dominic came out with the Judgment Day. They came down halfway and then went back and he came out. I think this is the best match Dominic's had his whole WWE career so far. I think he looked tough. He looked confident. I think they both showed out. But I think this might be the best singles match he's done had. And I mean to tell you, dog, that kid is gonna be a superstar. You know, anxious to see when, you know, because gimmicks are going to change. He's not going to be in the judge. There's not going to be a Judgment Day for 10 years,
Right.
5 years. He's going to do something. He's going to turn face eventually one of these days. Love to see him and his dad, you know, kind of do something for his dad. College quits for real, you know, which had to see what's going on with his injury right now. But I say it's my favorite match because you really get to see somebody come, you know, it's like you watching them grow up right in front of you, you know, and I think that's the way they looking at it too. That man, of course he's grown up and he's, you know, done a lot of things since he's been in there. He's encountered a lot of stuff, bro. I personally think if you had 30,000 people booing you while you talking, that's got to do something to you and can mess you up. And man, he ain't missed a lick. He ain't missed a lick. And I think this is the best match he's had so far.
Well, before I go into my opinion of the match, as far as you saying having 30,000 people booing you and that must do something to you, I don't look at it that way. I know we're not these people, but when it's your job to be a heel, when he walked through that curtain, I mean, I don't. When you say do something to him, you mean like in a negative way or positive
No,
way?
I don't mean like that. I mean when you got to understand, he was getting different heat when he would go to talk.
That's what I'm saying. So
Yeah, and you got everybody booing you, but you still got stuff you got to say to build the story, and still
right.
got to put it in there.
But
So that's
what
what
I'm
I'm
asking
saying. He's
you
encountered.
though, that's what I'm saying. But what I'm asking you is that when you say, meaning like when you say that do something to him, like are you referring to like you think he walked through that curtain like, man, these people need to stop booing me so much,
No,
or
I mean to throw you off of your game because
oh well,
you didn't have
I get what you're
you
saying
got
on
people.
that.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like that's what I'm saying. He's encountered more stuff than what some people are used to.
That's true, but I
Yeah,
also believe that that's true. But they so happy with his heat though, and it's like
yeah,
they like the fact that he can't go out there and say nothing. They're like, oh man,
right.
it's working. You know, you really
Yeah,
don't have to say nothing because you're right. He has his outline, I'm sure, He had bullet points that you're gonna talk about your dad, and you're gonna talk about,
especially at the beginning. I mean, more folks at the beginning when they started doing that,
right?
Because he would try to talk, they just start going crazy.
Yeah.
Then again, you start playing into it, and it's a part of it,
right?
But you ain't got too many people that's ever encountered anything like that.
No.
And it's one take out there, dog. So that's what I meant by it. I didn't mean by like, oh my God, everybody hates me. You know what I'm saying?
Because I'm sure every heel wish they had heat like that.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
So, but they came out and interfered. Judgment Day. Like I say, this is my favorite match, man. It's watching this kid grow up right in front of your eyes, man. He's already a man, but he really showed that he was a man last night.
Well, I'm gonna give you my opinion on the match. First of all, Penta's entrance. I love his pyro. I love that little walk he does.
Yeah.
That
almost like a what's called Scott Hall almost.
Right.
Yeah.
I love his walk. The match itself, though, I didn't see what you saw.
Really?
Yeah.
Imagine that.
I feel you with the Dom thing.
Mm.
But I seen, and it's just me being nitpicky, but even I watched it with Vay, and there was a couple of spots where even Vay were like, that ain't look right. And I was like, yeah. you could tell that. I mean, it's not gonna be perfect anyway, and we both know that.
Yeah.
But I seen a lot of spot. I don't know, it seems like, and I know, and you gotta think Penta is new to WWE as well. So he's like learning their style and their way of doing things too. So we had to keep that in mind as well. But I saw, it seems like to me, I don't know, there was a couple of spots that they just seemed to be a little off, my opinion.
And that could be the point of trying to do too much.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But as far as I'm just talking about, because Mysterio's not great, Dominic's not great yet.
No doubt, but
he's getting there,
but he's good though. Yeah, he is good though.
He really is, man. And you got Vince is one of the best luchadors in the world. So the fact the fact that he can even get in there and keep up with him like that, I'm praising him right now.
That's why I mentioned, we know Penta's. Yeah, he's been Pentagon, Dark, or whoever the hell. The Lucha Bros been doing this for a long time, and they known around the world. But again, we know WWE have their own style.
Yeah,
that they want you, and Penta didn't go to NXT and train down there for a few months. Was on NXT roster for 6 months to a year.
He got
thrown into the fire.
Right.
Yeah, so
we sign him. We got to get him on TV.
Right. So that's why I mentioned that. So it was like maybe what I saw was just they still working out a few kinks. You know what I mean? And again, I'm not trying to poo-poo on the match. I love Penta.
It sure does sound like it.
Well, I just couldn't, we can't always agree, you know what I mean? And that's just what I saw. But it really stood out to me when my brother said something. I was like, damn, he don't even really watch it like that. But it was funny because I saw what he saw, but I wasn't gonna say nothing because I didn't think he was thinking like that. And then he was like, and he said so. He was like, what was up with that? And I was looking, I was like, oh, you peeped that? I said, yeah, it looked like they I said, look, it looked choreographed, didn't it? He was like, yeah, they was kind of acting weird, and he was waiting, it was like, I was like, the timing was just a little off on some of them. That it was one particular sequence that I could think of where it was a little weird there. Again, but that happens, I'm not saying the match is bad or nothing. But I couldn't just sit there and let you say that, and I'm just like had that in my mind.
No doubt.
I archive that to talk about tonight. But But shout out to Dom, man. I'm glad he's still the champion. I'm really excited about this little title run and how this whole Judgment thing, this whole Judgment Day thing gonna play out, especially with JD being back, and clearly they're gonna push Finn out the door.
Yeah.
So I'm very curious to see how that's gonna play out.
Did you hear AJ calling Prince Devitt the other day?
Yes. Oh, so hey, something that you said a few episodes ago may come into play very soon.
Yeah. So let's go on to the next match. And it was the only match that didn't have a title involved. Pat McAfee and Gunther. McAfee got the shit kicked out of him pretty much the whole time. You knew that was gonna happen.
Right.
Let's just go to the finish. And I'm gonna tell you about how I felt about the finish.
Okay.
Old school. Getting fired up when you brought the arm down 1, 2.
Right.
That way, you
give the Hogan,
Yeah.
Fought back with them elbows.
Right. But he couldn't get out, and he still finally choked him out.
Right.
But Gunther got choked out by Jey Uso in 5 seconds.
Okay. That's my dog. That is my dog. I want to see. That's what
Did you see how McAfee put up such a fight?
Right.
It was like you say, the elbows. He got up. He even got up one time, and they went back down.
Right.
Gunther did none of that.
Right.
So, and it just makes him look like now. What is this gimmick now going to be picking on people that aren't actual wrestlers now? Is that what he's gonna be doing?
Right. Because almost like, damn, you had a hard time with McAfee.
Right.
Even though he did beat his ass.
Right.
But still, the finish, though, was like, damn, you had a hard time choking out the commentator.
Yeah. And then you didn't even fight to get choked out by Jey Uso.
That's my dog. See, that's exactly what I thought about when they did that. Now, let's talk about the match. It's not much to talk about.
Right.
It definitely wasn't the most technical match, which we knew that. It was McAfee fighting Gunther, right? We knew it wasn't gonna be like watching Kurt Angle fight Eddie Guerrero or nothing.
Right.
So I did like some of the things I saw. McAfee's a hell of an athlete.
Yeah.
I also felt like I think Gunther was holding back on some of them chops. Like he was hitting them hard.
Yeah, I'm sure.
But it was like you could tell
he ain't finna chop McAfee like he would freaking anybody on the roster.
Right. He took it easy on him, even though McAfee did take punishment. But it was like the whole thing was to make McAfee look tough.
Yeah.
Which I'm not mad about that. I love Pat McAfee, and he's surprisingly pretty solid in the ring. This is not the first time I see him in the ring.
Yeah.
Of course, he did.
This wasn't his best showing either.
No, it wasn't. Because even when he did something, he's very athletic. Even when he did some of them backward flips and all that, he wasn't sticking his landings and stuff.
Yeah.
And again, that's just me being nitpicky, but I'm just being real. Let's be real.
Yeah.
It definitely wasn't, like you said, wasn't his best showing. But to your point, at the end there, yeah, he fought, and now everything with Michael Cole was great.
Yeah, little paid a little homage to Bobby the Brain Heenan.
Yeah, when he grabbed the foot and that whole little just the emotion in that, and just how Gunther did a great job of playing that role, and even just the whole match, he just kept looking over at Cole, and Cole over there like, just end the match already, you know.
And at some points, it looked like he was trying not to laugh at McAfee for doing stuff. And knowing Pat McAfee, not knowing like we know him, but knowing his personality, he's probably doing stuff in there trying to get him to laugh.
No, it probably.
Right.
Who knows that guy, you know.
But he did. I tell you what, when he tripped over the top rope, he recovered so fast.
He sure did, though.
Yeah.
That could have been disaster.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because them ropes will do you the so wrong way.
Well, that's just gonna show you how athletic that dude really is, though.
Man, because when he went down, he jumped right back up, landing on both feet, and still, I can't remember if he hit the ropes or just kept going.
Nah, he just got right back up, and it ended up being like it was like a clothesline or a tackle or shoulder block. It was something,
forearm or something.
Yeah, but the timing could have been off, but he got up so quick it didn't really throw the timing off of it. I thought that was kind of impressive how he was. I'm glad you mentioned that because I saw that and I was like, ooh, but then he did get up and kind of.
And it was quick too, because if you said ooh, you probably didn't get the whole ooh out before he was right back up. You probably said ooh, oh.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So I don't know if that was just to get Gunther back in the ring with somebody. I don't know if they're gonna do something with McAfee later on. You know.
Did you saw how Gunther showed him respect?
Right.
At the end, though, which I was all for that too, because it was almost like, I kind of think about like when it's different, but when Undertaker, Jeff Hardy
I was just gonna say that you're one tough son
ladder match.
Yeah.
And yeah, you want to tell so I kind of like looked at it like that, where it was like, because even then they were standing there and Michael Cole was sitting there like, uh-oh, what's gonna happen now? And Gunther's kind of looked at him and was like, yeah, man, I respect you, dog. Like you took me to my limit.
Right. But it's also, you took me to my limit, but it's also a damn, okay. You can do what we do a little bit, and I'll give you respect for it, especially when you ain't doing it all the time. You know what I mean? You're not a full-time guy. And it's like, it's a lot of guys in there do not like Logan Paul, don't want him to be there, but are like, damn, he can work. You know what I'm saying? Like he can, you know what I'm saying? They are. So, and that's neither here nor there, man. But I think the respect is, it's good for storyline, but it's also, deeper than that.
Right.
And showing love for being able to hang out there.
Right.
And not making it look like like a Mickey Ward coming out there. You know what I'm saying? Something stupid like that. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah. So, but you looking like you heard somebody intro music come on.
I did.
We wasn't Sanford and Son.
Nah, about to be though. As we speak.
Hey, that's inside baseball for us, ladies and gentlemen. All right, man. So, main event. You knew? Okay.
I have a lot to say about this match, bro, but go ahead.
All right, I'm gonna let you jump into it. Let me just say a couple of things, and then I'll let you, take a hold of it.
Okay.
All right. I'll give you the hot tag, and you can come in there and stomp a mud hole in it, walk it dry. In St. Louis, Randy Orton, hometown. You already knew he wasn't gonna win.
Right.
The Cena stuff is too good right now for him to lose to anybody right now.
Right. Right.
Last backlash. Probably the last. I don't think this will go too much farther because he's got work to do. He's got to get to some different opponents that he wants to work with. You got to realize that this is real too. this is really his last hoorah. So if he's going to work with CM Punk, if he's going to work with AJ again, if he's going to work with whoever, they got to move that stuff along, because you got SummerSlam coming up. He'll go to the till December,
I mean, you got to think realistically. What he got? Maybe 5 or 6 more opponents.
Yeah, you got to do that fast. 5 or 6 opponents on big stages. That's a lot.
Right.
That's a lot.
But like you said, and we don't know who, but the potential opponents, like you said, because I'm sure that you will see a Punk. You would think, right?
Yeah.
A potential.
And what about Cody? What about Cody trying to get his get back when he come back?
Which I'm sure they're gonna have to do that eventually, right?
Yeah, but I'm assuming it'll be at the end.
That's 2 right there, you would think.
Yeah.
They got Randy out of the way.
Yeah.
I mean, who
so
who
now
knows?
is he gonna wrestle R-Truth now?
I don't think they'll. I mean, they include him in the storyline, so I don't know, man. All right, as far as the match, I didn't think the match was bad as far as them wrestling. Of course, they can wrestle each other in their sleep. They've been doing it for 25, close 25 years.
Right.
I will say though, and I know why they're doing this, because Cena's a heel and they making him old school heel, where it's like cheat to win, by any means necessary. Like, all his wins gonna be like old school Ric Flair, with a horseman, and whatever. Like it's gonna be. He's not gonna get no clean victories.
Dusty finishes,
the dusty finishes. Glad you said that. But I think that match. I think it was this match. I think it was too much going on, man.
Yeah,
it was like, man, this happened and that happened, and like the thing that happened with Truth.
Yeah.
I mean, it's cool to see Truth on TV, and of course, he had a lot of history with John Cena and those guys.
That's his childhood hero.
Right. Well, yeah, yeah. Where's Little Jimmy when you need him? But
right.
I didn't really. It was just a lot. It was just. That match to me just had that finish. It just had too much going on. It just too much.
Yeah,
this was happening, that was happening, and that's the second straight match. Even the WrestleMania match. I hate to go back to that, but of course, we didn't get The Rock, and now we're trying to figure out what was the whole point of that. Then the Travis Scott thing, and then the weird finish with that, and now they got this weird finish here. And again, I understand. I know they're not going to have any clean finishes. He's a heel, and he's playing that role. But I just felt like tonight, man, it was. I think they overdid it.
Yeah. So what I came out of that was, when I looked at it, I said, okay, Randy Orton gets suspended for,
RKO and the whole damn front office, right?
Right. And probably take some time off, and he's going to immediately jump in with somebody else.
Right.
He put R-Truth through the table last night at the press conference. I know you saw that.
I didn't see the press conference at all.
Okay. Okay. So let's talk about the press conference when we wrap up the match here.
Okay.
I'm totally with you. Excuse me. Got the little cough tonight. I'm totally with you. There's a little too much going on. But I gotta say, when the match was done and all the chaos was over, that's the first thing came to mind. All right, Randy Orton has to take some time off. He's gonna get suspended. Because he's gonna heal up to do something else, or try to do this, try to do that, whatever. And then immediately jump. Who's gonna be next? Who's gonna be next for Cena? So, and I do think Cena has a lot of say-so in who he's going to wrestle and
right.
Input. I ain't going to say-so. I'm going to say he's got a lot of input. So last night, he came and interrupted Triple H. And Triple H was like, well, when the 17-time world champion shows up and wants to do something, you let him do something. So Cena sat down, told the media that he had been unfair to them, that, because he can't get out of his own way. And he does realize that these are the last times and he needs to be cool with the media so we can sell this and sell that. And as soon as he was about to take a question, because he'd been just fucking with him.
Yeah.
And so when it came to question, you could hear R-Truth in the back. Where is he? Where is he? Where is he? Well, congratulations. And he came in there. He was like, JC. He was like, congratulations. He was like, you did it. Even if you did have 30,000 people chanting, you suck and you can't wrestle. And then John Cena stood up and said, what did he say? He said that you crossed the line. He said, if you do anything like that again, he said anything like that again, he said it's going to be repercussions. And he's like, but John, I was just saying. And that's when he grabbed him and AA'd him through the table. You know what I'm saying? So that's how I was like, are they going to give R-Truth a little shot at him? Because that's his childhood hero. And are they going to use up a PLV for that? And
I hope not.
And I know John Cena, that's what I'm saying. So I know he's got input, and I know they love R-Truth. And he seemed like he would be the one to be like, yeah, I'll do it, but you got to let me work with Truth at a PLV. And they're going to be like, what? Yeah.
Oh, the AA just reminded me of some archive from that match, though. I do want to comment on real quick. I hate to go back to the match, but I have to.
Do your thing.
I did like that spot which I know Michael Cole said something. He said that was their like 24th match against each other, which
wow.
I'm surprised. I thought it would have been more than that.
Yeah.
Because I know a lot of times they count those house shows.
Yeah.
And it just kind of hard for me to believe that they've been the two top baby faces and heels for the past 20 years, and they came up in OVW together. That they only had going into last night's match, they only had 23 matches against each other. That was kind of shocking to me.
That were just like one-on-one, or was that just all together?
That's just what he said. That Michael Cole said this is the 23rd. They had going into the match. He said they wrestled each other 23 times, which I'm assuming he's talking about one-on-one.
That don't even sound right.
That's what I'm saying. I think of Flair. I know times were different back in then, but I think of Flair. So I wrestled Steamboat
3,000.
Yeah, whatever, So, but they did a spot where he did the AA and Randy countered it
into
the RKO.
Yeah, that was hard.
I thought that was a cool spot, but what I was thinking was that, damn, as many times I saw them wrestle each other, I don't remember every detail in their matches, but I don't really remember seeing him do that though. Like, seemed like that would be like a spot that they do often. And I'm not saying
I think that was super new.
Yeah.
Like probably the first time he ever did that.
That's what I'm saying. Kind of weird, because he done hit RKOs out of like all kinds of different variations of RKOs. So
Randy Orton like Barry Bonds though.
Yeah.
That mug get better and bigger as he get older.
Right.
And I'm a Barry Bonds fan.
Oh, no doubt. I know.
Because first of all, you can take all the drugs you want to. You still got to be able to hit that ball.
And Barry Bonds didn't get many pitches to hit.
No, sir. Nope.
Throughout a game, let's just say he get 4 bats. He might get 3 to 4
good swings,
hittable pitches, like
that
real hittable pitches.
Right, that are worth swinging at.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like that girl at Arkansas. You seen her?
Nah.
Oh man, bro, they walk her all day long. They walked her the other night. They walked her, and the game was tied, and they was like, it was either walk or run in or take your chance, because bases was loaded when she came up. Bro, she took one swing the whole night out of every pitch. Was ball, except for she took one swing and hit a grand slam.
Damn.
She bad. She is bad. But yeah. But all in all, man, I don't know. Like I said, we don't know if they're gonna in fact, what I was saying is Randy Orton is huge right now, dog.
He weigh like 280, 285
Man,
or something
he
like
even
that.
looks taller.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, man. But so I'm assuming he gonna take time off. I can see John Cena, R-Truth having a small thing, only because of what I told you earlier, which is Cena's like, nah, we're doing that. You know what I'm saying? I don't see, Triple H and them like, nah, we're gonna bring R-Truth into the mix, give him a title shot. You know what I'm saying?
I don't think he can add no damn match with no damn John.
But I mean, they got him super involved the other night, though.
Yeah, well, they definitely did that. Hell, I mean, I'm all for it. I mean,
yeah,
it's cool. I mean, Truth been there forever, and you could tell that he's one of the most beloved superstars on the roster, and it's the reason why when they had come up with them cuts, he's not one of the ones. You know what I mean? 'Cause they could have cut him a long time ago. To be truthful.
bro.
No pun intended. But
yeah,
I'm glad he's still employed, and it's good to have, especially when they don't use them too much. It's good to get his, because even last night, when he's about to do the punt kick, and then he come in there, he got in the way, and Randy's like, "What? Get out of my way!" This RKO shit out of. But who knows what they're gonna do? But I'm just gonna say I'm gonna be shocked if Truth have like a one-on-one match with John Cena.
Bro, shocked ain't the word. You're gonna be amazed.
But who knows though? Who knows? Who knows?
Like I say, that's like he got his own input in there.
Yeah.
I'll do it, but you know what I'm saying? I'll do this, but yeah, so we definitely gonna find out something tomorrow, because if Cena not on Raw, Truth will be.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I don't know, man. We'll see. But as far as Backlash was a good, quick, couple hour PLV. You had every title match every match was a title match but one. So not disappointed at all. In the not too disappointed. Like I say, the first match killed it. Right. I like Dom and Pensa, and the girls did all right, and then the main event was the main event, but it's still Cena, so you're still watching.
Right.
Because like I say, it's about to be over.
For real.
I don't think people understand, like, come December when it's his last match, it's it. That's his last match. You're gonna be watching that match going. And first of all, kudos to him for getting to do that.
Right.
Because a lot of people don't get to go out like that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? A lot of people can't.
Well, you gotta think, like, and I just use Triple H as an example. Like, we didn't know that his match with Batista at WrestleMania 35 was gonna be his last match.
Yeah, you didn't know
we knew it was gonna be Batista's last match. Well, but they knew that was Stone Cold's last match. We didn't know.
We didn't know though. We didn't
know. But what I'm saying, I don't think Triple H knew that was gonna be his last match.
Oh,
that was
yeah.
before the heart condition thing happened. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know. So just point is, just don't take this stuff for granted. You know, and
Right.
that's with life, anything, you know, with all of us. But even
That's
just
life in general. Yeah.
right. But even with just us watching our wrestlers, these people entertain us, like even basketball. And I'll just use your boy as an example. I know he ain't your boy, but we use LeBron James for example. I'm assuming he's gonna come back one more year. You know, but what if he's retired after this season, or what if he come back one more year? We're not gonna see him too much longer.
Oh, no.
So whether you like him or not, you know, and we know they got the whole debate, but me and you both on Team Jordan.
Yeah.
But all I'm saying is he still is a great player, and it's gonna be like people not gonna really appreciate the things he can do and still can do.
Yeah.
And it's like when he's done, he's like, damn, that dude really, you know, was special. So you know, that being said, like Randy Orton, you
Yeah.
know, Rey Mysterio, you know, those guys, they the OGs, you know, and like real OGs, John Cena's, you know, R-Truth. So Natalia,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, so it's like they fading away, and
They are, dog. You
yeah,
know, like I say, we lost Sabu today. You know,
right.
Sting's got a gray beard.
Man, he looked crazy now that he
Like, what in the hell,
let it
man?
go.
Yeah.
He now he's like, I'm not dying this shit no more. I see the picture Sting at one of the fan fest the other day. He had the red on.
Yeah.
Man, his hair was gray and shit. I was like, that don't even look like him. Yeah. I was
Man,
like, damn.
crazy. Before we get off, man, I gotta tell you, I think I brought it up before, but I got a new favorite YouTube channel. Well, second favorite. Welcome to Wrestling's my first favorite. Hey man, that Maven, he might
Yeah.
got one of the best shows on YouTube, dog. As far as
Maven. Shout out,
wrestling.
Maven.
Man, Maven Hoffman, man, he snuck into an AEW show with his camera guy and went all around and, you know, bumped into Dustin Rhodes. You know, him and Dustin chopped it up. And he was just telling Dustin, man, thank you for, you know, you carried me through my only WrestleMania match. And Dustin was like, nah, we carried each other. He was like, nah, man. He was like, I'll forever be grateful. Then he bumped into Billy Gunn and they were chopping it up. Then he saw a few other people, and then some young people started coming up to him and talking to him like from the roster and stuff.
Okay.
He was chopping up with them when this one girl said, will you watch my match? You know, tell me what you think. You know, and he said everybody was respectful, shaking his hand. And he was like, then they cut, and he was like, we might be able to get to meet the man. He was like, we might be meeting the man here in a minute. And then he cut, and he was in Tony Khan office waiting on Tony to come in. And then Tony walked in. He was like, no, don't shut it off. He was like, you're good. And they were talking about what day it was. And then Tony Khan was like, do you remember where you were? Blah, 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 blah. He was like, you and such and such were taking a picture for me, autographing it for me and shit like that. And he was like, now we're sitting here talking and stuff. He was like, this is awesome. You know, Tony Khan a fan, dog.
Yeah. Right.
But the whole thing was so cool, man. You know, and nobody was tripping on him being in there. And even Tony Khan was like, man, he was Maven like, let's do a video together. And he was like, let's do it. He was like, I know you're crazy busy. And he was like, we'll figure something out, man. You're welcome here anytime. And man, it was just cool to see that interaction backstage. You know what I'm saying?
I love looking at stuff like that.
But man, Maven ain't no joke, man. That, you know, he talks about you know, he did stuff like break down how much money he made, how much stuff costs. He was talking to one of the guys on the AEW roster, and AEW pays for all their hotels.
Oh, that's dope.
He was tripping out about that. He was like, there's no way. He was like,
Well,
WWE,
they had to pay for their flights and everything with WWE.
everything.
I don't know how it is now, but back in the day, yeah, they paid for all that.
But like you say, now they on them buses. They riding them buses 24/7.
Yeah.
They living on them things. They ain't, you know what I'm saying? I know sometimes they gotta fly and probably fly back right where that bus will probably meet them at such and such. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But some of them guys probably getting on their private jet too. Heading to the shows or whatever. It ain't no telling.
I'm sure it's a hierarchy,
Mm-hmm.
But everybody ain't getting what Cody and Roman getting. You know what I mean? So
right. Oh, Roman ran into the other dude that was on Tough Enough with him. That was with TNA. He was with WWE. Josh something. The little dude.
Josh Matthews.
Yeah. He was like, that was with Josh, man. He was like, don't I know you? He was like, weren't you on this show? I forget what it's called. You know what I'm saying? But he was just, catching up with everybody, asking them what they did there and all that stuff. So man, it was cool, man. But like I say, his whole channel, man, shout out to him, man. He doing different stuff.
That's cool, man.
Like the thing he had with Saturn, he was like, he heard Saturn was talking about him. He was like, we're just gonna go talk to him with the camera out and see what the problem is. And he was like, hopefully we can fix it. And he had Saturn on the thing, and Saturn ended up doing a whole they're talking about that, talking about everything. Saturn went to talk about his life and stuff and all kinds of stuff. It was crazy. But he pulled up on Saturn, he even talked to him about before with the camera off, but he had his microphone on. He's like, I'm gonna talk about this stuff. He's like, you sure it's okay? He's like, yeah. He did the one with Justin Credible, because Justin's supposed to be ripping them folks off.
Yeah.
Fans off. He did one with him, asking him, was he doing it? Why was he doing it? All kind of stuff. So, and I know I'm rambling right now about geek, but I'm just saying. But yeah, man, that's a good watch, man. If you ain't watching Welcome to Wrasslin, when you get done catching up on all 20 episodes, then go check Maven Hoffman out.
Absolutely. Shout out, Maven.
Right. But yeah, man, that was episode 20, man. That was Backlash. The Backlash review 2025. And we'll definitely be back. Definitely keep banging them out. Once again, we appreciate all the new subscribers, all the original subscribers, all the ones in the middle, every last one of y'all. We appreciate y'all, man. Please hit the like button, comment, tell your friends, tell their friends, tell their mammy, tell everybody, man. It's Welcome to Wrasslin.
Welcome to Wrasslin.
Right. And we're going to end this one like we did with Mongo, man, and just let this play out for a minute.
Welcome to Wrasslin, Chetty Bobby. Welcome to Wrasslin with Big E and the POT. Podcast tag champs of the whole world, slamming like a DDT. Got it like just like a figure four. Hulk Hogan, all they do is flex. Talking wrestling while they get the dough. Off the top like a superplex. Think they letting up? Hell no. Dusty Rose with the elbow. From the corner like a stinging splash. Straight to the face, I know you felt those. Hey, y'all crying out for help though. Rising up like the dead man. About to go upside your head like Stone Cold with the bedpan. Bottom line, if you want the facts, welcome to Wrestling where you need to be. Chetty Bobby, this show improved like John Cena, you ain't seeing me. Bottom line, if you want the facts, welcome to Wrestling where you need to be. Chetty Bobby, this show improved like John Cena, you ain't seeing me. Yeah.